Good. Okay. Welcome to the regular council meeting of June 22. We'll start off with a staff introduction, and we'll start off with Logan.
Good evening, through the chair to mayor and council. Today we have with you Carson Reed. He is our new community peace officer here in the city of Brooks. Carson is originally from Saskatchewan and moved to Alberta to pursue his career in law enforcement. He has his criminal justice diploma, and he comes to us from Alberta Health Services from the Medicine Hat Hospital as a peace officer. He also served as a volunteer firefighter as well. Something about him, he's a triplet. So we have 2 additional peace officers, I guess. And he loves playing baseball. So welcome, Carson.
Appreciate it.
Would you like to say anything, Carson? Okay. Okay, thank you very much. The next item is something that we like to do here, and I'll start off by doing it up here because when we get down here, I don't have a microphone, so people can't hear me all the time. So that's kind of a surprise that people can't hear me. But anyways, we want to recognize a gold medalist, Molly Butel, and Molly is sitting in the gallery over here, and we'll soon get her up here. And we'll get her there, and I know Paul's pointing at her there, saying that's her. So that's a good thing that she's here, Paul. But she won the 2026 SSA Track and Field Provincial Championship, and she competed on June the 5th and 6th in Calgary, and she earned a gold in both javelin and discus. In her javelin event, she set a new record throwing 41.67 meters, which is just astounding. And every time I hear anything about javelin throwing, it always reminds me of that one guy that was in charge of it. I don't know how far that one was thrown, but the guy who was measuring, he got in the way of the javelin. And I always think of the javelin throwing, and I always think about him. You probably don't even remember that because you were probably too young to remember that part of it. But anyways, in Alberta, Molly is ranked number 1 in discus and number 2 in javelin. She is also currently ranked number 5 nationally in Canada for javelin and number 9 nationally in Canada for discus. And her coaches are Paul Levesque, whom I've known for quite a number of years, and Ted Korthowski. Hopefully I said that correctly. So thank you very much in training Molly so well in this, because it's yeah, she trained you. Well, that's a good thing. And I presume your parents are here as well, sitting over to the side, and they have been instrumental in her success as an athlete. And she is, if you can believe this, and you saw all the results of being 1st and 2nd and 5th and 9th, and she's been throwing with them for only 3 years. So that's quite remarkable to have that kind of a result in 3 years. And so, Molly, I want to just thank you on behalf of the city of Brooks for putting us on the map again on the championship that you have won. And as such, I have an award here to present to you. So I'm just going to now ask you to come up front here, and then we'll also ask the counselors up here to come around the side so that we can get a picture taken with you.
She's just a little teeny tiny girl.
Right here. So, Molly, on behalf of the city of Brooks, in recognition of winning the gold medals in javelin and discus at the 2026 SSA Track and Field Provincial Championships held in Calgary, we want to congratulate you and give you a certificate on behalf of the city of Brooks.
Everyone tight together a little bit, yeah. Keep tight together.
One that way.
Perfect. Smile. I'm just trying to get everyone's eyes open here. There we go. Okay.
Now, did you want one with the coaches up here too, or not?
Great, actually, yeah.
No? Yeah, the parents, they should be up here. Well, what we need is somebody to lay down in front. We're old.
Come on, you guys, you should
We're old.
Knees to chest, knees to chest.
Where would you like it? One there, one there?
Sure.
Next to Molly, with Molly.
Let's
next to
have,
Molly.
Here.
You guys in here. Scratch down.
yeah, let's have them closer to the mayor.
Scratch, scratch, scratch.
With Molly and the mayor.
In there.
You're gonna go that way.
Right here.
You're on the other, on the other side of the mayor, yeah.
Oh, they want over there.
We'll get you right here. How's that?
There you go.
Break the camera.
And tight together. We got a large group here. Thanks.
So, once again, thank you, Molly. Thank you, coaches.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
And thank you, parents.
Congratulations.
Because you probably had to travel a lot.
Congratulations again. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
the very best.
Very exciting.
The last time I saw you, you were just a little. Oh, sorry.
Okay, so we'll call the meeting to order at 4:39. You have the agenda in front of you. Are there any items to add or delete from the agenda? Okay, seeing none. It's been moved by Councillor Falkenberg that the agenda be adopted. All those in favor? Carried. You have the minutes in front of you from June 8th, 2026. Are there any omissions or anything that has to be added to it? Okay, seeing none, it's been moved by Councillor Johnson that the minutes from the regular council meeting held June the 8th, 2026 be approved. All those in favor? No business rising out of the minutes. We'll then go on to the RCMP quarterly report. But the first thing that I want to do before we even get started, I want to thank the RCMP and our community for keeping our communities safe. And I want to thank all officers across Canada because it has been a tough week. There's been issues of officers killed in the line of duty in Toronto, now in Quebec City as of, I think it was today. And then there is also something that happened in Melville. And when an officer goes out to a call, they have no idea what they're going to encounter when they go out. But they are here to serve and to protect all of us. And I think they do a very, very good job of that. So I just want to thank the RCMP before you get into your reports because, I see a lot of the numbers in here are trending positively, and I think that's a high point for yourselves. So thank you very much, and I'll let you continue, Staff Sergeant Harms.
Well, Mr. Mayor, thank you so much for those comments there. And I know I really appreciate that. Sergeant Searle is with me today. I know he really appreciates that, and so will the membership at the detachment and beyond. So definitely it's been some tough days, including today. So that just means a lot to us, so thank you for that. Yeah, so I have Sergeant Searle with me today. I don't believe he needs an introduction. He's been in this room many a times and is well known in the community. Both he and I are going to speak to the report that I submitted, which actually represents March, April, and May. So I think my last report took us up to February, so I'm just kind of picking up from there. It is a lengthy report because it does touch on 3 different months. I tried to keep it somewhat short and to the point, but what I'm going to do, like I've been doing recently, is I'm just going to touch on some highlights. But by all means, at the end, if anyone has questions on anything I skipped over or anything, we'll be open for discussion there. Anyway, just recapping the last 3 months, 982 calls for service, 74 prisoners, 340 criminal record checks were done, and 145 violation tickets were written. Also in the last 3 months, we had at least 61 public engagements of various types, but basically fall under those media releases, public presentations, and public engagements. I've broken down what those engagements are. I'm not going to go through that, but it's there if you want to see a breakdown. I'm going to move straight to the significant and highlighted events portion of my report. And the first several that I'm going to touch on basically speak to increased police visibility in the community dealing with certain incidents. The first was March 30th, 2026. We actually responded to what we believed was a vehicle collision with a building on 2nd Street West, and it involved the jewelry store. On arrival, we actually found out that it was something very, very different, and it actually turned out to be a stolen vehicle out of Calgary that tried to break into the jewelry store and obviously gain entry for unlawful purposes. So we kind of flooded into that area. We cordoned off the area. We did learn that there was 3 suspects involved, or at least 3 suspects. Unfortunately, they fled the scene. The public would have seen that we had police dog services there. We had our forensic people there and so on. Unfortunately, no arrests to date on that, but definitely there was a lot of police visibility there. Second one, online threats to a school, which was deemed unfounded, but on May 7th, again, we had some increased police visibility in the community, and I know some messaging went out. Just to reiterate, basically we had received an anonymous online vague complaint about a threat or a possible threat to a school somewhere in the city of Brooks. And of course, we don't take those lightly. It's important that we respond accordingly. And there was some increased visibility. We worked with the schools kind of in a response and how to deal with that while the investigation unfolded. And long story short on that, the investigation went throughout the day, and I think it was mid-afternoon, we identified a person of interest, a youth, in the city of Calgary, and Calgary police were also engaged to help us out on this. And long story short on this, we quickly determined, once that person was located, that there was no credibility to this threat. And in fact, it looked to be a swatting incident. And for those that aren't familiar with swatting incidents, it's basically a false complaint made in the name of someone else most often. And we believe that's what the case was here. So at the end of the day, though, a police investigation and response was warranted. Because public safety, especially in the schools, is one of our priorities. National Impaired Driving Day was on May 16th, 2026. Brooks, along with Bassano RCMP, partnered with RCMP Traffic Services and Alberta Sheriff units, and we conducted some patrols and some check stops in the area, including on Silver Sage Road and near Duchess. And I'm happy to say that there were 75 vehicles checked in those check stops, and there was 0 impaired drivers located, so very pleased with that. There was 12 violation tickets written during that operation for various things, but I understand mostly speeding and traffic offenses. Interestingly enough, I looked at some of our other check stops that we had over the last 3 months, and same thing, 0 impaired drivers were located in those check stops. However, the takeaway point here that I want everyone to have, it doesn't mean that we don't have impaired drivers out there. Our routine patrols, calls for service, and partnerships with the peace officers actually resulted in 7 impaired drivers being located and arrested in other circumstances. So definitely impaired drivers are out there, and we're going to continue to do what we do to eliminate that. On May 20th, we sent out a interesting media release, and it was basically in response to our police dog services units in the city, and they decided to do some what I call routine training, just sending their dogs out on some tracking training and things like that. But it actually captured some public attention. So we put a media release out just saying, hey, this is a training thing with our police dog services, no reason to be alarmed. And we got lots of positive responses and actually questions back, and people were asking, you know, were they puppies? How young were the puppies and stuff like that. So I just wanted to clarify a couple things. A, they weren't puppies. They were actually working dogs that were in between calls, and they thought they would do some training. Still cute, though. But one thing I want everyone to know is we often don't see our police dog units in the area, but they are here. We don't have any posted here, but they frequent the city often, and even just for routine patrols. But they're here often helping us on calls and jumping in and things like that. So I'm certain we'll continue to see them, and we'll continue to see some of their training exercises sometime in the future. May 24th, I just wanted to touch on an interesting complaint to me. Basically, we had a report of a suspicious person and suspicious activity in the Upland Link area. The complainant called in a suspect description and just wasn't comfortable with what he or she was seeing. And as a result, our officers came into the area, and because a good description was provided, we located a person in very short order. And that person was actually on conditions and was found to be in breach of those conditions right then and there. So that person was arrested. And during the investigation, we actually found that person in possession of several stolen items, including identifications and credit cards. So that was a good call to make. 26-year-old male was charged with possession of stolen property, failed to comply with release orders, and failed to comply with probation orders. But it really speaks to being alert and calling something in if you see something, which we encourage. So helps us, helps the community. So that's just a good example of that. The last event I want to talk about is another media release we did on June 8th. I usually don't talk about these. This involves social media. I've said it before, we don't monitor social media, but there is certain things that get brought to our attention. And on June 8th, this was of no exception. There was basically a social media post regarding an alleged assault that had occurred at the local water park over the previous weekend. It also highlighted some behavior that was quite concerning. I want the community to know, and everybody in this room, that right away when that was brought to our attention, like obviously, I think it sparked some public outcry, some emotions and other comments. I can tell you, like we said in the media release, the Brooks RCMP had no such call for service or no such report. And in fact, we dove into it a little bit, trying to find out if there is some validity to it. And we just can't verify those allegations. There's no indications that had occurred, to us anyway. We definitely know it wasn't reported to us. The one thing I will say is, such as the media release said, we do urge the public to take what is circulated on social media with maybe some skepticism and just be alive to that. We recommend that you rely on, police reports, verified information, and so on. So I just wanted to point that out because I do believe there was maybe a little bit of harm done to the community with some of those comments and such. I'm just going to talk on a few other points in the other messaging section. Last meeting we had, I spoke about us in the final phases of firming up our detachment priorities for the next year. Those are firmed up, and they are what I said they would be: crime reduction, drug enforcement, traffic safety, community engagement, and so on. One of the new initiatives we have, which I'm thinking people may have heard us on the radio, part of our media campaigns right now is we're actually doing some media talks, some talks on the local radio stations, 105.7 and 101.1, just related to awareness, education, tips, and things about the community. So far we've done several, and I've listed them there. It's just another way to kind of get the word out and hopefully arm the community with some good information about what's happening in the community. We did have our first Municipal Police Committee meeting on June 3rd. It was a great meeting. It was great to see everyone there. I have, I'm quite excited about that. Our next meeting is in September 1st, and I know as time goes on that, we're going to get more and more effective with that committee, so I very much look forward to it. I'm going to talk about two more points before I turn it over to Dave. Criminal record checks, there's been a slight rate increase to bring us up to kind of what the standard is. $10 increase on criminal record checks brings us up to $60. That's in effect June 3rd. It applies to Brooks residents and all county residents. There is some exemptions, being volunteers, nonprofit organizations, and so on. There is some other rate increases as well. I'm not sure if the rate increases are on the city website, but they're definitely at our detachment. If there's any questions, people are welcome to call the detachment. The last thing I want to talk about are the crime gauges that I think everybody in this room knows I like. It's just a quick snapshot of how the detachment's doing. And I'm happy to report that so far this year, compared to last year at this time, we are showing a 22% decrease in criminal code offenses. So that's overall, but basically almost every category we're measuring, we're showing decreases. Very, very pleased with that. I dug a little bit further, and in fact, in addition to a 22% decrease from this year compared to this time last year, there's a 15% decrease observed when looking at the previous 4 years. So our crime statistics are looking good. They're looking favorable. Of course, I'll be the first to say that one criminal offense is one too many, but I do like what I see there. So I just wanted to share that with everyone. I will turn this over to Dave now, who's just going to touch on an exciting piece for us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me today. I'm just here to talk about our local remotely piloted aircraft system, which we finally got last week. I took some training up in Edmonton 2 weeks prior, where now I can pilot our drone. It's a great tool to have. We're excited to have it. So what it's going to do is it's going to allow us to approach our investigations, critical incidents, and public safety concerns in a more modern and innovative way. Our calls for service can now be responded to quicker. Crime scenes can be seen from a bird's eye view, and suspects can be located with lower risk to them, the public, and our officers. So we're excited to have it. We actually deployed it last week to look for a missing youth out in the county, and while we found him through other means, it was certainly great to have, and we'll be using it quite a bit, I think. So one of the big concerns from some communities or people is on their privacy. So I just want to read a little blurb from us. So we're committed to safeguarding the privacy of individuals. Our use of remotely piloted aircraft systems includes training and policies, procedures to ensure appropriate use. Our passes will be used to help locate missing child, fleeing robbery suspects. It's not going to be used for us to conduct physical evidence searches on private property without a search warrant or other lawful authority. We're also in communication with the Department of Justice to ensure risks associated to legality and privacy are appropriately mitigated through our training, our certification, and policy. Our pilots are going to be trained and provided information related to addressing these risks. So we're going to use it for police work. to make our community safer. We're not going to be, flying it over backyards and looking for things. It's not what they're for. So, any questions on that?
Okay, thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, seeing none, I've only got one.
I do.
I noticed that motor vehicle injury collisions were substantially up. Any way to mitigate that whatsoever?
Yeah, I can speak to that. Yeah, I noticed they're up as well. I'm hoping they level off here as time goes forward. But what I can tell you is one of our priorities this year, which is new compared to last year, well, it falls under traffic safety, which we had last year. But one of the new initiatives is actually intersection enforcement and monitoring. And we've been doing a lot of that, probably more than we've done in the last several years. Unfortunately, some of those collisions keep happening. I think a lot of those, what you're seeing are, I don't want to say not serious, because they're all serious, but on the lesser side of the injury side, like any injury, that is sustained during a collision falls under that category. So definitely it's something we're watching, and we'll continue to do our intersection, enforcement and monitoring and so on. Do you have any thoughts on that, Dave?
Yeah, it's definitely unsettling. It's something that we've noticed too. Without the stats, that collisions with injuries have gone up both in the city and in the county. So, like we've been working with our peace officers both in the city and the county and the sheriffs, and as well as the initiatives that Rob just mentioned. So we're working on it, and hopefully you're going to see a reduction in the months to come.
Well, thank you very much. Councillor Nesbitt?
Through the chair to Staff Sergeant. So I would just like to commend you and your group with everything that I see in your report. I see that you're coming out and you're making presentations to a variety of different areas of our communities, and that's commendable because you're not just focusing on one small segment. You are increasing visibility. You are having everybody in our community get to know you, as well as you're hearing what our community is needing. And I particularly like the parenting presentations that are noted at the spec, and we're at another Christian school. Anytime that you can do any connection with the parents, I think that's a commendable thing as well. And that carries down to the youth in our communities. So thank you for that time and effort, because it's always usually above and beyond what you have to do in a regular day. So thank you.
Mohammed, do you have a question?
Yes, I do. I was going to ask about the drones. What are the flying altitudes for them to do their job?
Sorry, you're just a little difficult to hear, but if you were asking about altitude?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's very strict laws that we have to follow, not just policy on altitude. So it really depends on the class of airspace that they're being operated in. So there's not one definitive altitude.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And if there's no other questions, Councillor Regner has one now.
In regards to the police dog that the training was going on, what's the frequency that dogs come to town? Would it be beneficial to have our own officer with a dog in town?
I think the answer would be yes, it would be beneficial, but I don't know that it's realistic. It's a big undertaking to have a dog man. We're talking about a trained dog. We're talking about a trained handler for that dog. Believe me, I've thought about that a lot. I just don't know that it's realistic right now, but as the community grows, who knows, maybe that will become realistic. I do take comfort in knowing that although the dogs and the dog handlers are not posted here, they are nearby, and They do frequent the area. I don't know the exact frequency, Counselor, but they do frequent the area quite a bit. And it's not uncommon for us to, find out and hear that they've just arrived in the city and they're just on routine patrol. And they monitor all of our radio channels as soon as they feel something is unfolding, whether they're here or not in the city. They will start heading this way to support us. So they're definitely a benefit to policing, and I would love to have one here, but we'll see where the future takes us, sort of thing.
Okay, thank you. So it has been moved by Councillor Phillipson that the RCMP quarterly report be accepted as information. All those in favor? Carried. We will now move on to the Municipal Enforcement Quarterly Report. And as Staff Sergeant Harms and Searle have indicated about safety concerns within the community is very fortunate that we've got the community peace officers working so closely with the RCMP. And I think it's important because we can never underestimate what is going on within the city of Brooks. So I'll go on with Sergeant Grant to present his information.
Thank you. Through the chair to Mayor and Council. Before you have the Municipal Enforcement Quarterly Report for April to June of this year. I'll go over some of the key points of the report here. For outreach and education, our staff members continue to take appointments and walk-in inspections for car seats. We participated in the community consultation at the JBS Center. All of our members recertified on TPR and PPCT training, that is essentially self-defense training for law enforcement. We conducted bike rodeos at numerous schools and a community one at Canadian Tire. We taught probably over 250 students in all over the course of our bike rodeos. We continue to attend A&W for Coffee with a Cop, so big shout out to A&W for allowing us to come there and have these open discussions with members of our community. We assisted with traffic control during the Newell Pro Rodeo Parade. In the collaboration with external departments section, officers continue to meet monthly with Brooks RCMP and county CPOs. We continue to share information on ongoing issues within our community. Officers continue also to assist with numerous vehicle collisions and other emergencies when required or requested. Officers assist recreation staff with disciplinary meetings, trespassing notices, and charges. We also assisted Public Works in our big street sweeping operation, which I will touch on the numbers here in a bit. As far as our traffic safety program goes, officers spent an estimated total of over 1,500 hours on traffic enforcement during this quarter. Violations issued include Class 7 drivers, speed, distracted driving, document infractions, stop signs, and red lights. In this reporting period, a total of 13 summonses were issued for no insurance, and 5 suspended drivers were found. In this quarter, officers also removed 3 impaired drivers from our roadways, 2 of which were the same individual. Patrols and playground zones continue throughout this quarter, and the hours are included in the total noted above. CPO and RCMP officers continually patrol playground and school zones. Our enhanced traffic and public safety shifts continue throughout this quarter. Officers focus on traffic issues during these shifts to address the driving and traffic issues within the community. 428 traffic tickets were issued in this quarter. 198 warnings were also issued. From the animal control side of things, officers continue to investigate dog and cat concerns throughout the city. There has been a total of 7 hen licenses issued. Various inquiries have been received since the bylaw was approved, so that's good. And then just some other related information. Over 800 hours have been spent on parking enforcement, property care, and management with proactive patrols and other bylaw enforcement files. Municipal enforcement continue to proactively and reactively deal with property care issues. This is a heavy focus in our department to ensure our community is as clean as possible. We issued 294 parking tickets for the street sweeping operation. 4 overgrown tree and shrub letters were issued in this corner. 17 unsightly properties were issued. This is up from our Q1 report. 69 overgrown grass and weeds letters were issued. We also executed several warrants during this quarter as well. So that is my very brief report. Again, not as entertaining as the RCMP. You should start having me go before them. But that is it. I'm happy to take any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you, Sergeant Grant. Question, Councillor Johnson.
Through the chair to Sergeant Grant, you know I love your report. So I do have a couple questions, especially regarding the unsightly properties. 69 overgrown grass, 4 tree shrubs, 17 unsightly properties. Can you just very briefly walk us through, so are these tickets issued, or these warnings, are they just the start, or are they the end, or?
Through the chair to Councillor Johnson. So anytime we issue a letter, they're essentially a warning for the first time offense. So in the event we see a property that requires some maintenance, it's either proactively enforced and or we're reactively approaching it, whether it's from a phone-in complaint to our office or through the Newell Connect app. So that property would be issued a notice to have a certain issue remedied, whether it's an overgrown tree, overgrown grass, or the totality of the unsightliness of their property. So they usually start as a warning, and then in the event where the property isn't cleaned within the prescribed time, fines are issued.
So is it like a 2-week warning? So I guess my question is when you say you issued 69 actions, is that warning letters, and how long until we go and check those?
So the letters are warning letters, and on the letters there is a prescribed amount of time given in order to have the work done. Usually it's within a week. In the event where that property isn't cleaned in the time that we've given them, we would then issue them a cleanup order, which gives them anywhere between 7 to 14 days to have the property cleaned. In the event where they do not comply with the cleanup order, we would then have to issue them a notice of entry, which in a lot of times is issued at the same time as the cleanup order. And then on that specified date, we would enter onto their property and have the work done at their expense.
Councillor Regner?
Once again, thank you for what you do. This is more of a comment for the public, in that all the sightings that you do for the violations, that everybody in the city is susceptible to these, because the mayor was cited of one of the 4 letters for overgrown trees. So anybody, it's possible, no matter who you are, so the citizens should know that.
And I did have it corrected before there was a second letter or visit, so everything is good. Are there any other? Mohammed?
My question is regarding the parking tickets. Significant increase, of course, because of the street sweeping. Are you getting any public concerns or any like issues with it?
Through the chair to Councillor Idris. Yes, absolutely. In the time that we were issuing these notices, it appears as though it didn't seem to matter how many signs were posted and for how many days in advance. Our phones rang off the hook daily for the 3 weeks it took us to complete this program. So, but again, with the amount of tickets issued versus the amount of residents in the community, the vast majority of people understood the message and did what they were supposed to do. So big shout out to those who did.
Thank you. That was very good.
Do you have still your hand up there, Mohammed, or? Okay, so it's been moved by Councillor Regner that the Municipal Enforcement Quarterly Report be accepted as information. All those in favor? Carried. We'll move on to correspondence and information. Any updates from council conferences and/or workshops? Okay, seeing none. You've got the minutes from the Brooks and District Recreation and Parks minutes, April 15th, 26th there. Any questions on that? Okay, you've got information from the Brooks Public Library on statistics, and the statistics are quite encouraging on the use of the library, so it looks like it's very, very well attended, and the programs are very well attended. Any questions on that? Okay, seeing none, it's been moved by Councillor Idris that the following items of correspondence be received as information: update of council conferences and or workshops, the minutes from the Brooks and District Recreation Parks Board minutes, April 15th of 2026, and information from the Brooks Public Library statistics. All those in favor? Carried. We will now move on to the business of rescinding, number A, rescinding policy F-002-027, listing community groups on the city website, and that is our Manager of Legislative Services, Mrs. Fontura.
Thank you. Through the chair to council. The listing community groups on city website policy was approved in 2009. However, a council policy is not required for website content, as this can be managed by administration. Our website currently provides information regarding community, family, newcomer, community organizations, and volunteer resources, mental health supports, schools, and seniors programs and services. So if council rescinds the policy tonight, it does not mean that those supports will be removed from the website. They will remain on the city's website. This policy was presented to council committee last week, and it was recommended to be brought forward to council to be rescinded.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions? Councillor Johnson?
Thank you. Through the chair to Ms. Fontura. I just want to make sure that we're clarifying that this is just an administrative deletion. We're not removing anything from the website. It's just we're getting rid of excess policies.
Through the chair to Councillor Johnson, yes, that is correct. We don't need a council policy for this initiative, and administration will continue to keep those items listed on the city's website and update them if required.
Okay, are there any other questions? Okay, seeing none, it has been moved by Councillor Nesbitt that council rescind policy F-002-027 entitled Listing Community Groups on the City Website. All those in favor? Carried. Item number B, policy F-002-030, bracketed B, Business Continuity Plan, Manager of Legislative Services, Mrs. Fontura again.
Thank you again. Through the chair to council. The Business Continuity Plan policy outlines the services that the city provides and categorizes them into essential, necessary, and desired. Desired services may be discontinued during a severe staff shortage to ensure the essential and necessary services can continue to be provided to our residents. Overall, minor wording changes were made regarding the names of the services provided, and inclusion has been added as a desired service. This policy was also presented to council committee last week, and one additional minor wording change was made to the policy that is presented to you today. And administration is recommending that council approve the policy.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions? Okay. Seeing none, it has been moved by Councillor Falkenberg that council approve policy F-002-030, bracketed B, entitled Business Continuity Plan. All those in favor? Carried. We'll go on to item C, policy F-002-031, bracket A, social media policy, Manager of Legislative Services, Mrs. Fontura again.
Thank you. Through the chair to council. The social media policy was first introduced in 2012, and it outlines expectations of city staff, both professionally and personally, as well as residents that are interacting with official city social media accounts. So the updates that we've made are removing examples of social media platforms because they change so frequently, updating the definition of social media, listing the city's official social media accounts, only sharing events and activities that the city is an official partner in. This is our current practice, but it just wasn't included in the previous policy. And removing some tips for city staff personal social media accounts, like how to build a following, but we've included others such as not using city branding or presenting personal opinions on city positions. This policy was also presented to Council Committee last week, and we've made some minor wording changes from that discussion. And we've also added a section in the employee expectation section stating that they cannot violate the violence and harassment policy, anti-racism policy, or the management personnel policy when posting on social media from the discussions that were had at that Council Committee meeting. Therefore, administration is recommending the policy is approved.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions? Okay, seeing none, it's been moved by Councillor Johnson that Council approve policy F-002-031, bracket A, entitled Social Media Policy. All those in favor? Carried. Move on to item D, Community Peace Officer Appointment, and that will be Director of Recreation and Protective Services, Mr. Schantz.
Thank you. Through the chair to mayor and council. Before you is a request for decision with regard to our new community peace officer and his appointments to appointments for authority under the City of Brooks municipal bylaws and Government of Alberta legislation for specific enforcement options. So the city recently hired Carson Reed, who you were just introduced to, as a community peace officer. The required appointments as outlined are the business license inspector authorization under the Alberta Weed Control Act as an inspector to enforce and monitor compliance with that act, as well as enforcing the provisions of Land Use Bylaw 14/12 as an identified development officer. And finally, underneath the Agricultural Pests Act, that allows him to be an inspector in order to destroy, control, or identify pests of the municipality. The discussion options are option 1, approve the outlined appointments for CPO Carson Reed, giving him the ability to legally enforce appropriate Government of Alberta legislation and City of Brooks municipal bylaws within the CPO scope of duty. Or option 2, do not approve the outlined appointments for CPO Carson Reed. There's no direct financial implications associated with these appointments. The recommendation from administration is that CPO Carson Reed be appointed as a licensed inspector for the City of Brooks under License Bylaw 26-025, appointed as an inspector for the City of Brooks pursuant to Section 7 of the Weed Control Act, appointed as a development officer for the City of Brooks pursuant to Land Use Bylaw 14-12, and finally be appointed as a pest inspector under the Agricultural Pests Act. All of these appointments would cease if his employment were ever to cease.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions?
I do.
Oh, Councillor Nesbitt.
Through the chair to Mr. Schantz, sorry, Director Schantz. Can I please just get a little clarification on the Agricultural Pests Act? Can you tell me the different animals that they might be encountering within our community that they would take care of? I've just had a question on badgers lately, and I don't know if that is something that's listed under that or...
Through the chair to Councillor Nesbitt, this legislation specifically was designed for rats, to eliminate rats from Alberta, so that's where the legislative act comes from. So the municipality has a obligation to the province of Alberta to eliminate any undesirable pests as identified by the Alberta government. So that's specifically for rats. As far as animal control, they handle or advise any situations where any desirable animals come up. So for instance, if snakes or badgers or those kind of things would come up, they would either advise or provide actual service to relocate or trap or use whatever the specified applications are to get rid of that pest if needed.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, it has been moved by Councillor Phillipson that CPO Carson Reed be appointed as a licensed inspector for the City of Brooks pursuant to Business License Bylaw 26-025 and amendments or replacements thereto, and further, that the appointment ceases at the time of his employment ceases with the City of Brooks, that CPO Carson Reed be appointed as an inspector for the City of Brooks pursuant to Section 7 of the Weed Control Act, and any further, that the appointment ceases at the time his employment ceases with the City of Brooks, that CPO Carson Reed be appointed as a development officer for the City of Brooks pursuant to Land Use Bylaw 14-12 and amendments or placements thereto, and further, that the appointment ceases at the time of his employment ceases with the City of Brooks, and that CPO Carson Reed be appointed as a pest inspector to carry out the Agricultural Pests Act in the City of Brooks, and further, that the appointment ceases at the time his employment ceases with the City of Brooks. All those in favor? Carried. We'll move on to bylaws. Bylaw 26-032, Access to Information Bylaw. Manager Legislative Services, Mrs. Fontour.
Thank you. Through the chair to council. In June 2025, the provincial government introduced the Protection of Privacy Act and the Access to Information Act, which split the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, or FOIP, into two. Additional responsibilities regarding protecting privacy have also been imposed on municipalities. The Access to Information Act and Protection of Privacy Act require a public body to designate a head, which has responsibilities within both pieces of legislation. The attached bylaw designates the CAO as the head for the city, and the CAO can further delegate their responsibilities. Additionally, the Access to Information Act regulation provides maximum fees that a municipality may charge when responding to an access to information request, which are included within the attached bylaw as required. Therefore, administration recommends that council provide 3 readings and adopt the bylaw this evening.
Thank you very much. So the first reading that we'll have, there is no questions that can be asked. When I do the second one, there will be questions if you have any questions. And on the third, it'll have to be carried unanimously to be approved. So the first one that I will move by Councillor Regner, that bylaw number 26-032, being a bylaw of the City of Brooks in the province of Alberta to designate the head and set fees and charges for the purpose of the Access to Information Act and the Protection of Privacy Act be introduced and read a first time. All those in favor? Carried. And it's been moved by Councillor Idris that bylaw number 26-032 be read a second time. Are there any questions? Council.
Through the chair to Ms. Fontoura, I would like to know what an example would be for the CAO to delegate this responsibility.
Through the chair to Councillor Johnson, any responsibility that the CAO has, they can delegate that to another position, except for their ability to delegate their responsibilities. So, for example, our CAO can delegate all responsibilities under both Act to myself, but I can't further delegate those responsibilities.
I guess my question is if we get a Freedom of Information, or I guess Privacy Act request, our CAO can delegate that to you. Would you just send it out, or would it come back to the CAO for verification prior to us releasing any information?
Through the chair to Councillor Johnson, as part of our privacy management plan, there is a letter that our CAO signs to delegate those responsibilities. So if an access to information request comes in, that would be given to me. And then depending on the topic, I may need to work with other departments to determine A, if we have that information, B, how long it will take to gather, and things like that. And then I am responding to the applicant. So at this time, all responsibilities are delegated from the CAO, and I am the person that would be responding to that applicant.
Okay, are there any other questions? Okay, seeing none, it has been moved by Councillor Idris that bylaw number 26-032 be read a second time and adopted. All those in favor? Carried. It has been moved by Councillor Nesbitt that bylaw number 26-032 be given 3 readings at this meeting to be adopted. All those in favor? Carried unanimously. It has been moved by Councillor Johnson that bylaw number 26-032, being a bylaw of the City of Brooks in the province of Alberta to designate the head and set fees and charges for the purpose of the Access to Information Act and Protection of Privacy Act, be read a third time and adopted. All those in favor? Carried. It has been moved by Councillor Nesbitt that the meeting adjourn at 5:26? Yeah? Yeah. 5:26. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you very much.